Am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law that helping around the house might lead to more intimacy? Last weekend, my husband M42 and my F42 went golfing. I asked my husband how it was going, and he said, "Good, but Colin, brother-in-law, 41 won't shut up about how him and Marie have like no intimacy. It's annoying." I was with my sister F40 and all of our kids at the time, so I asked her what was up. She just rolled her eyes and told me that Colin won't help around the house, so by the time she gets home from dinner on the table, gets the kids ready for bed and school tomorrow, she's exhausted and just wants to read a little before bed. She said he'll come home from work and will work out or watch sports or find any excuse to be busy so he doesn't help. Flash forward to dinner later that night. Everyone is done eating, so my husband gets up and starts clearing the table. When Marie and I get up to help, he waves us off and he says that he and Colin would do it since they golfed all day and he knew how tired we were after being with the kids. This was after he had ordered the dinner, picked it up, and brought wine and ice cream from my favorite place to go with it. Colin, predictably, said he had something too and went to walk outside. I said, "Colin, maybe if you helped clear the table, then Marie might be in the mood later." Colin lost his crap. He started ranting about how he's busy and how he doesn't have time to help, and that he doesn't want a transactional relationship where he has to pay for sex with favors. It got pretty heated because I didn't back down. At one point, he pointed at my husband and said, "What? You'll blow him tonight because he did the dishes?" I explained that it wasn't about doing the dishes. It was that my husband helped out when he knew I was tired and had taken care of dinner and wine and dessert. Colin ended up storming out and driving away. He didn't come back to the house until after we left. Marie says he hasn't said a word to her since Saturday night. I feel kind of bad because it wasn't necessarily my place to say anything, and now Marie's marriage is paying the price. But on the other hand, maybe me saying something will be the wake-up he needs to realize he's not acting right. Her marriage was already paying the price. Brother-in-law knows exactly why their marriage is falling apart. He just doesn't care because he thinks it's helping and not equal responsibility. Honestly, I'm petty, but I'm glad he got called out and felt humiliated, because he should. This won't actually help anything. A crap husband is a crap husband. He's not interested in changing. That being said, I would have done the same thing. Not the a-hole. Colin is more lazy, and him saying he is busy is him trying to justify not helping out. It feels like the marriage is dying on front of your own eyes. And clearly Colin doesn't want to hear anything nor change. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be my ex's caretaker? I'm making this post to show my ex later, because I don't feel like I'm in the wrong here. But I'm close to the situation and I'm always open to new opinions. My ex up and abandoned our family several years back to live his truth. Not saying what his truth is, past that it involved a lot of random unprotected sex. That was way more important to him than our 3 children. He did not pay child support. He didn't even acknowledge the children most of the time. He worked under the table and did a/CB to make sure that he didn't have to support the children that he helped create. Needless to say, our 2 eldest hate him and our youngest doesn't even remember him. He reached out to me recently to tell me that the karma train had run him over. He has acquired a terminal STI from his time as the community chew toy. He showed me proof of his diagnosis. Now he wants to come home, spend what time he has left with the children, and he wants me to be there when he passes on. Now isn't the time for I told you so's. I think that he's being ridiculous. With new medication, you can live a long time with that diagnosis. Besides, why should it fall on the children and I to sweep up another mess that he made? He thinks that the children will regret not getting to spend time with him while there's time to be had. So, am I the a-hole? Update 1. I talked to the 2 older kids. I told them that Dad was sick and wanted to reconnect. Our eldest laughed and said she thought he deserved it. Our middle child said that she doesn't want to speak to him. Our youngest was 1 when he bounced, so he's just a concept to her anyway. Yeah, not bringing him back around the kids without a court order. I saw a few accusations of homophobia/transphobia. Both the ex and I are members of the Rainbow Rangers. Both of us are bi, for clarification. I didn't send him the post, but he's already called this morning yell about it, so someone did. He claims that there's a secondary health issue that the HIV will make worse, so he will need help. Also, he's claiming that HIV automatically qualifies you for SSI, and he's going that route, and he won't be a financial burden. Well, he won't be anyway because I'm not letting him in. I agree with those of you who said he's probably lying, gaslighting, exaggerating, but he is a heavy smoker, so who knows? Thanks to everyone who commented. There was a lot of helpful information. Update 2, because a lot of you called this. I told my ex that I wasn't going to force the children to have anything to do with him. His response was, "Fine. I still need you though. I wish that I could figure out a way to attach a screenshot because my flabbers are gasted at the open audacity. He lives a state over and currently doesn't have a car, so we should be fairly safe." Last update hopefully because family members saw this shared on FB. I gave him one phone call before I blocked him, mostly to see what he'd say. He admitted to exaggerating the situation. He has a lung issue that might become cancer in the future if he doesn't stop vaping and smoking. He is already on the meds to get his count down. He literally said that he wants to be babied, that someone as good-looking as he is deserves to be babied. He also acknowledged that he can't keep a job. Apparently, he had a job at a McDonald's outside of Pittsburgh recently, and it didn't even last a month, so, in his words, he wasn't dodging child support so much as he is incapable of paying it. He also whined that all he has to offer anyone is sex, and now that's been taken from him. His parents have disowned him. His brothers won't speak to him. Oh, and he says that he doesn't care what a bunch of internet strangers think, but then whined that I shouldn't talk bad about him to internet strangers. When he told me to stop taking a tone with him, I told him that any further contact can be through the courts and blocked him. This was draining. This was cathartic. To the a-holes calling this fake, I hope you never experience an ex as bad as mine. He literally abandoned you and his children and never gave it a second thought. Now that he is dying, he needs something from you. I hope you do not give it to him, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad why I should include his wife if he plans to never include my boyfriend? I 19F have been dating Leo 19 meters for over a year now. We've known each other since we were 6 and we've been a part of the same friend group since we met. My parents' mom and dad both knew him from a young age and he was really sweet when my mom died. Dad even commented back then about how kind he was to me. My dad has been with his wife for 2 years now and they've been married for 6 months. Ever since I told my dad I was dating Leo, he's been so different about him. I got crap for bringing him to a family party in June and Dad said it was inappropriate to bring just anyone to a family party. I ran it by the relative hosting and they were fine with it. My dad never complained about friends joining before. Dad and his wife have shown up unannounced when Leo and I were hanging out and they wanted to leave him out. Dad makes it a big deal if I want to include Leo ever. It's not even all the time. Both of them were really off with Leo when dropped by unannounced a couple of weeks ago too, and this led to a fight. Leo went on a grocery run and I confronted my dad. I asked Dad why he was being like that and how did he expect me to want him to visit if he'd be that way. His wife said they don't like seeing me be in such a serious relationship and the fact I'm bringing him to things is strange when he's not family and he's just a partner and I should listen to them. I asked her who she was to say that. Dad said she's right and she's his wife and our family. He said it's so totally different. I told him he would never have let me treat her that way before they were married either. He claimed it was still different and I should be willing to spend time with them without Leo. And I have, by the way. I have visited on my own and met for lunch without Leo. He's not always there. But we go to the same college and we're living together with some friends for the summer and we'll be full-time moving in together in a couple of weeks. But anyway, Dad said Leo isn't family and some stuff should be just for family. So I asked why his wife was always there. I asked why I should include her if he won't ever include Leo. She's not my family after all. Why it was any of his wife's business when she's got no say on my life. Dad said she's family. They're married. I asked again would I need to marry Leo for things to change again, and he just said it's different. His wife said I had no business invalidating her and she's the future grandmother of my children. I told her good luck with that. She's not my mother and she will never be their grandmother, and since we're excluding partners, that's all she'll ever be, married or not, since that's what Dad's saying he'll do. Dad told me that was enough, and he never said that. I told him he keeps saying it's different and not that marriage would change anything, so I see no reason to include his wife. I then made them leave, which they did not do easily. They wanted to keep the fight going, but I told them I was done. They're now angry I invalidated his wife by asking about including her and saying she won't be the future grandmother. but I stand by it. My kids might not know Grandpa if he's a DCK to their dad and wants to act like he doesn't exist. Am I the a-hole? They doesn't like seeing you in a serious relationship? What the actual F? Would they prefer you screwing around and changing boyfriends at the same rate as you change your undies? OP replies, I guess they either want me single or dating a bunch of people and not having a stable partner. Never mind the fact Leo and I have known each other for a long time and we're happy together and good together. The rest of my family supports us. But not Dad. Not the a-hole. Wife of 6 months has no say in anything to an adult stepchild. Also, if you want to talk it out with your father, do it one without his wife present. Going forward, I would exclude her from everything, and if your father doesn't change his behavior, go LC or NC with him too. He's got no good reason to do this except he might be jealous. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pick my husband up from the hospital, which led him to walk 2 miles home? My 34F husband 37M has type 1 diabetes. He has a history of managing it very poorly. I have found him almost dead over a dozen times and the ambulance has to be called. He is usually conscious, but a few times he's been so low, in the 20s, that he is basically in a coma. He's very lucky actually that I do find him, either waking up in the middle of the night or coming home in time. It's absolutely terrifying and I am worried every day I'm gonna just find him dead one day. He never acknowledges how this feels for me, just says, it's what happens when you have diabetes. He also has a history of being extremely aggressive when he is low. Sometimes he is goofy, but other times he is just mean. Spitting in my face, calling me a W word. I get it's his low sugar talking and not him. But it is still a lot to manage. He has had a pump in the past, which helps a lot. But when he doesn't use it right, or like now his broke and we are waiting for a new one to come, he can't monitor his sugar as well. That said, he also doesn't eat well or monitor it like he should. We had an argument the other night, and I asked that he sleep on the couch so we could be separate. I hate doing that because if he goes low and he's not next to me, I won't know. I begged him to make sure he ate something substantial before he fell asleep so his sugar wouldn't drop overnight. Now I am 8 months pregnant and thankfully in this case wake up a lot to pee. I woke up at 4 a.m. and peed and decided to check on him. His sugar was incredibly low. He gets sweaty all over and when I woke him up he started screaming at me to kill yourself BTCH. I called the ambulance. He was super aggressive with them too and it took 7 men, he's a big guy 280 pounds, to hold him down and get in 4 in him. He kept ripping it out. They finally got his sugar up enough to where he was coherent, but they wanted to take him to the ER to be sure his sugar stayed stable. I refused to go with. I just feel like I reached my breaking point. I've been through this so many times and being pregnant, I just couldn't deal with it. So I went back to bed knowing he would be okay. He called me at 6:30 a.m. to say he needed a ride home. I said no and hung up. He came home 2 hours later saying he had to walk home in his sock feet. He could have taken an Uber. We didn't have much money, but he could have called his parents to have them book him one. He could have called his brother or friend for a ride. Now he is blaming me for making him walk home, and his parents have said, you don't do something like that to someone you love. I don't feel like I made him do anything. I didn't tell him to walk home. I didn't think he would because that is insane. I'm so stressed out by this, which isn't good for me being pregnant, but I just feel like I can't say sorry like it was my fault. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, honestly. This doesn't sound like a safe relationship. You're about to give birth and your partner isn't able or willing to care for themselves if possible, especially with him getting aggressive. You need to get out, either stay with family or a close friend and use his history to get full custody. Tell him he's not allowed to see the baby until he's proven he's no longer a threat to himself and others and willing to properly take care of himself, because at the moment he's not safe to be around for you or your child. You don't do something like that to someone you love. Well, you don't tell the wife you love who is 8 months pregnant with your child to kill herself, but husband has no problem with it, so neither should OP. It doesn't matter if he's low when he says those things. He is low because he chooses to be, so he also chooses to say those things. He needs to wake the FCK up before OP decides to save her kid from him and leaves. And no one will be calling an ambulance for him at all. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a person with a disability not to touch my children? IF40 took my children F3 and M1 to a shopping center today. I had both of them in a trolley, and we stopped in the food court to get a bite to eat. As I was pushing the trolley towards the counter, a woman approx early 20s with Down syndrome walked straight up to the trolley and started patting my son's head. I immediately moved the trolley away and said, "Please don't touch my children." Her mother, who had seen the interaction, was clearly annoyed and asked me, "Why is that?" The conversation went as such. Me, "Because no one has the right to touch my children without their consent." Other mom, "She doesn't understand." Me, "Then it's up to you to teach her that it's not okay to touch strangers." Other mom, "You're very lucky you have 2 healthy children without disabilities and don't have to deal with this." Me, "Her disability is not relevant here because I would have, and have, said the same thing to anyone who has touched my children." Other mom, "I don't know why you're so mad about this. She didn't mean any harm." Me, "I'm more annoyed that you're trying to make this about your daughter's disability when what it's really about is my children's body autonomy." At that point, my food was ready, so I collected it and walked off with my kids. I want to make it really clear here that I feel this way about any touching of my children, and have said the same in the past to people without disabilities who have touched my children. I've been astounded since I had kids how many people, complete strangers, I've had to say this to. However, I'm wondering now if maybe I should have been more lenient in this situation because of the woman's condition. Am I the a-hole? Edit to clarify. Wow, I was not expecting this kind of response. Thanks to everyone for taking the time to comment and give me an outsider's perspective. I've seen a few comments asking about my tone. I wouldn't say I was unfriendly, but wouldn't say I was friendly either. As I walked to the counter, I was looking up at the menu, so I didn't see the woman coming at all. Suddenly, she was right there touching my son, so my tone was more one of shock than anything. It all happened very quickly, so I was a bit taken back. I have definitely taken all of the feedback on board, and although in future I would still absolutely tell anyone who touched my children not to, I can see that my tone matters and I could have been more tactful. A few years ago, I was walking my 4-month-old puppy when a woman with Down syndrome came walking towards us very quickly. My puppy was a very nervous sort, so I fear this could be a stressful situation for him. Happily, this lady stopped about 10 feet from us and sat down on the sidewalk. She introduced herself and asked if she could pet the puppy, all the while she held her hand out for him to sniff. I said yes, and within a minute she had tons of puppy kisses. The lady's mother eventually caught up and thanked me for allowing the interaction. I thanked her for such wonderful manners and their family. Opie, you definitely were not the a-hole. My son was a ginger and I was constantly telling people to stop touching his hair. Unreal audacity. I taught students with disabilities and have had students who were overly affectionate and who did not understand personal space or boundaries. I had to teach them not to hug or kiss someone without asking permission. The person who touched your child without knowing them definitely could have been taught not to do so, in my opinion. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.